Snake Man here, the one-man production studio, film studio, producer, editor, the lot. Anyway, I'm here to educate a bit about reptiles and pets in a short, sweet video to tell you a bit about what we do as well. Here we go, we flip across and we have a rack of cages. On the top we have these smaller ones here. The heat mat runs across the back here, and the idea there is the cages sit partially on the heat mat, so some of it's warm, the rest of it's cool. The water bowls at the cool end there, you can see it, and of course the snakes, that one's been removed for a reptile show, the air vents. You can see a barcode here. We did have an armed raid from the Department of Sustainability and Environment recently, where they supposedly audited us. They wanted to make sure that everything here was kosher. Our record books and everything else was kosher, but that didn't stop the wildlife officers from attacking the snakes with sticks, or I don't know actually if they used sticks, I should qualify that, but they certainly attacked the snakes because they were too scared to take the snakes out of the cages by and large. So they shook the cages around and rolled these very heavy water bowls, which I'll show you in this next one here. They rolled the water bowls onto the snakes and broke backs and spines and bones and all sorts of things, so we had mass injury and mass carnage. These things are very heavy. They're made of cement and with water in them as well. They weigh, even this relatively small water bowl probably weighs pretty close to a kilo, and one of them rolls on the back of the snake and you're in deep poo. This is a diamond python, comes from Sydney, my hometown. This is actually a very nice one. I purchased it from a breeder, so I don't really know its background and origin, but they are obviously the nominate form of the carpet python, which is often better known. Overseas, outside Australia, they're very valuable. Within Australia, no, not too valuable. They're about $300 per snake if you buy them. When you keep snakes as pets, you need the essential requirements. You need water bowl, and that's pretty much it, and then a bit of heat. Heat and water. Now this one's just shed its skin, so its colour even looks better than normal, and it is a nice snake. As you can see, it's not really interested in biting, but I've removed it from the cage. We will have to take it out shortly, and we can handle these, of course, quite normally. They do bite sometimes, but having said that, they usually don't. Diamond pythons have a very good reputation as far as snakes go. Now, the water bowl, as you can see, is generally clean. Even this large snake couldn't split it. It has shed its skin, so we'll have to change that. I've got the snake crawling around my neck in case you're wondering where a snake's been put. And it's done a poo. You can see the poo. And I mention that because if you keep snakes, you've got to keep them clean. This guy has obviously done the poo and the mess probably about 12 hours ago. Certainly hadn't done it when I last looked at the snake yesterday. But either way, what I'm basically saying is there is work involved in reptiles. They are nice, but you will, of course, have to look after them. And that is important. If you don't have time and effort to look after them, or inclination, don't get yourself a pet snake. As it happens, in Australia, we didn't have the right to keep pet snakes for many years in most parts of the country. The laws were changed as a result of a book I wrote called Smuggled: The Underground Trade in Australia's Wildlife. It showed up the stupidity of the wildlife laws, not so much the stupidity, but how it was protecting vested interests in government-owned zoos, who then had a monopoly on possession of reptiles and were able to make money out of the fact that they were the only ones that had them, and the rest of the people actually wanted to see them. So you'd have to pay to go to a zoo to see one instead of see one in your living room. Of course, it was all false economy, and I mean, it was legal under a whole stack of other laws. So the wildlife laws were rewritten to actually match other Australian laws to allow people to keep reptiles as pets. Those rights to keep reptiles as pets are now under extreme threat. We at Snakebusters are fighting it, and unfortunately we're not getting a huge amount of support from other people in the reptile keeping community in Australia, because most of them are too scared to put their necks on the chopping block for speaking out against government, which will, of course, in the long term, create bigger problems. Unfortunately, we do have to take risks, otherwise our rights may be terminated permanently. Just remember, if you want to keep reptiles as pets, stand up for your rights, even if it means you may get threatened and harassed by police or wildlife officers, because otherwise those rights could well be taken. Thank you.